In this video, we'll take a look at an inexpensive cast iron cooking set from Ozark Trails and available at Walmart. Hi, and welcome to the Weekend Camper channel, where we do a variety of videos on topics related to RV camping, weekend style. If you find this video helpful, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the Weekend Camper channel. If you saw my recent video on campsite cooking, you may remember I mentioned getting a couple of new tools for this year's camping season. In this video, we'll be taking a look at a 4-piece cast iron cooking set from Ozark Trails that you can find at Walmart. We'll be taking a look at what you get, how to season the pans, and cook up a couple of typical items you might enjoy while out camping. As you can see, we're getting these new pans ready for the upcoming camping season, so we'll be seasoning in the house and cooking in the backyard. Let's start with what comes in the package. This set is called a 4-piece set, but it's really a 3-pan set. Let's take a look. First is a small pan. It's about 6 inches. It's been pre-seasoned and it's a little rough, so we're going to be making sure that we clean this up before we re-season them, before we get started with our camping season. We've got a 10-inch pan here. This one is pretty nice, feels solid. The handle's on there nice and tight, but again, the pre-seasoning is a little thick, so we're going to work on that in the house here in just a minute. Piece number 3 is a small round griddle. It has the edges on it on this side to give you some nice sear marks if you were cooking a steak, or allow the grease to escape from some bacon if you were cooking on your camp stove or over the campfire. It's reversible, so you can also cook on the other side. And then the 4th piece to this 4-piece setting is the handle that goes with the grill. And as you can see, it's got a little lip there. It fits through the handle there, so you can get the griddle in and out of the fire or off the stove without burning yourself. So that's what comes in the kit. And now for the seasoning. We'll be going through a couple of steps and then repeating them to add depth to the seasoning on the pan. If you're unfamiliar with cast iron cooking, seasoning is simply the process of coating the pan with a very thin coat of cooking oil and then baking it into the pan's surface. Cast iron is fairly porous, so we'll want to fill those pores with baked on oil in a process called polymerization. My plan is to go through this process 3 times. The first thing we're going to do is to wash the pans with soap and water. I'm going to use some Barkeeper's Friend to give the pans a good going over. These pans are pre-seasoned, but we're really going to wash them thoroughly since we're going to start the seasoning process basically from scratch. I don't care if some of the pre-seasoning comes off. Once we finish though, we won't use soap with our cast iron pans. Next, we're going to warm the pans on the stove. This helps ensure that they're completely dry and that the pores in the iron expand to better hold the oil. While we're at the stove, we'll also turn the oven on to 450 to 500 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so here we have the small pan off the stove. It warmed up for 2 or 3 minutes, got really dry, fairly warm. As you can see, it's still kind of hot to the touch after sitting on the stove for a few minutes to cool down. I did need to mention that there were a couple of spots where the pre-applied seasoning was a little thick, and so I went after that with a little bit of sandpaper to get that knocked down before I hit it with that Barkeeper's Friend. And now these are really pretty smooth, and so we'll see how this works with the canola oil. We'll just put a little dribble of that in here. some of that out. It was too much. So we're wiping this around in there. I'm going to get the oil on the back side as well. I'm going to change my grip, but just a dribble on the handle. And then I'm going to try to wipe this dry as much as possible. That's still a little hot. Now I've got a paper towel and that's left a little lint. So I'm going to finish with a lintless towel here, a garage towel if you will, because I don't want to bake the lint or those paper shreds into the seasoning. And so I've got that on there. Got everything done. I've got it almost to the point where you can't see the oil. And I'm going to be popping that in the oven here when I get the other pans oiled up. Okay, so we've got the pans in the oven, got them face down. Now it's time to turn on the timer. And we're ready to go. Be back in about an hour to turn the oven off and let them cool down. At the end of an hour, we'll turn off the oven, but leave the pans in the oven to cool slowly. Once they're cooled down, we'll do the whole process again. As I said, I plan to do this 3 times to build up a solid seasoning base, so this will pretty much take all day. So you can see we've put our pan through the seasoning process 3 times in the oven, and we're ready to give it a shot out here. It's really pretty smooth, much smoother than it was when it started. So we'll see how the smoothness translates into it's being able to cook as we load this baby up. So we've got some bacon here in the cast iron skillet. We've got the stove running. We're going to start with the bacon in the pan cold. We're just going to let it warm up together. So we'll get it on the stove. We're going to keep the heat at kind of a medium heat so that we don't burn it. And I got the bacon in there maybe a little bit tight. I usually like to leave a little bit more room in there in that pan, but it is what it is. So we'll get this thing cooking and see how it comes along. So within about a minute of putting the skillet on the fire, the bacon started sizzling, so the pan warmed up promptly. And right now we've got some really good smells happening out here on the patio. Hopefully I'm making my neighbors jealous. We'll keep this going under a moderate heat and start the flipping process here in just a few minutes. This is coming up pretty good. Not much sticking, which is kind of the key test for this morning's demo cook. We're going to flip this around quite a bit, but there's been a couple of spots that have stuck just a little bit, but for the most part the bacon has come right up. So let's add the eggs to this. Back over the flame, and that's going to be the real test of our seasoning. See if these guys stick or whether they cook. I'm going to put a little pepper here. Salt if you like. And now is going to be the big test, the degree to which these eggs have stuck to the pan. They are coming up pretty easily. There's a little bit of stickiness to them, but not much. all in all, for eggs on a newly seasoned pan, this is not too bad. I like my eggs a little over hard, and so they're just about done. There's just a little bit of runniness here and there. So all in all, things are looking pretty good. Got the eggs done here. Get them out on a plate. See, we've got a little bit of stickiness on the pan, but not much. That should clean up with just a little bit of water and a paper towel. So that's looking pretty good for our first cook on this new cast iron pan from Walmart. Well, after the egg was done, we stopped and had our breakfast, and it was great. The bacon was nice and crispy, the way I like it, and the egg was still hot, and just pretty much the way I like it. As you can see here, we've got the pan, and this is cleaned up really well. Actually, all I did was wipe it out with a paper towel and a cloth, and you can see I've got the stuff out of it. It's ready to be put away. Maybe a little bit of water to take a couple of little things off here, but by and large the seasoning worked very well, and it's added even a little bit more smoothness with that extra use. So I think as I continue to use the pan, it'll continue to develop a good surface. So all in all, pretty pleased with a very inexpensive set of cast iron cookware from Walmart. Well, our test breakfast turned out pretty good. I'm not an experienced cast iron cook, so I'm looking forward to building some skills in this area. As you saw though, even a rookie cast iron cook can be successful. Cast iron cookware is non-stick and very durable when properly cared for. It's also fairly inexpensive. The set we reviewed here definitely falls into the very inexpensive category. Other popular brands can be had for about $30 per pan, and a bit less if you buy them in sets. Even then, they're a good value. This set from Ozark Trail worked for me in the demo, and I'm looking forward to using it this camping season. The bumpy surface on the plans didn't seem to affect the seasoning process or the non-stick nature of the seasoned pans, especially after a good going over with Barkeeper's Friend. At this point, I think that grinding off the bumps that some reviewers have suggested is a bit of overkill. If you want really smooth pans, spend a little more and get some pans that are smooth to start with. Hey, if you found this video helpful, please click the thumbs up button below the video and subscribe to the Weekend Camper channel. Click the bell icon to be notified when I post new videos. Thanks for watching, and happy camping.